Who drives extra slow and takes the corners really easy when they're coming home from the fish store with fish? That's what I just got done doing, and it was a long day. Glad to be back, but we got some cool stuff to show you. Most fish buying stories start with going to a really awesome fish store. So we went to my favorite planted tank shop, Pisces Aquaria. It's owned by two of the coolest people ever. This is Andrew's tank, looking phenomenal. This is Ashley's tank, it's also looking fantastic. They have a ton of stuff, lots of wood to choose from. We had to look at a few of the tanks before we got down to business. I also brought them their legit fish food and sticker order that they put in the other day, so that was perfect timing, didn't have to ship it. We checked out a few more tanks, looking around the place. We went into the fish room and picked out our awesome fish. We drove home very carefully, and now we get to take a look at them. Let's check out our fish haul today. We got 6 more of the Rasbora cories, so some little tiny guys. Bag number 2 is gonna be, I think those are the Mountain Dew Rasboras. Pretty green fish. I'm excited to see how green we can get these guys, feeding them some legit. And then we have, I think we got 7 of these. These are dwarf neon rainbows. These are a really cool fish that I've actually never had in my own collection before. Always really admired them. They are also looking very translucent though, but they just have this really nice iridescent sheen to them. If you've never seen these in person, you gotta check them out. They're super cool and they stay small. And then the last bag is gonna be some guppies that I picked out. So I think we got 2 males, 2 kind of cool ones. There's like a dude with a nice yellow tail. There's a guy that has kind of almost like a snakeskin tail and a little bit of that on his body. And then we got 1 female as well, just to kind of mix things up with the breeding population, because I'm kind of getting into that. We might have to get some more tanks to do a proper breeding setup out in Legit Fish Food headquarters. I'm not sure. I'm thinking about it. I don't really want to do a ton of infrastructure changes. I don't want to set up like an automated water change system or anything like that. But I do want to just have more fish, and I want to get into doing some breeding projects. I think it would be kind of fun. But it's getting late. It's been a long day. I'm going to go ahead and acclimate these fish, and then we're going to figure out where we're going to put them, because I don't have that 100% figured out. But wait, there's more. So we couldn't go to the fish store without having to, air quotes, accidentally buy a bunch of extra stuff, right? So we got some ADA wood. I think they call this black wood. Kind of looks like manzanita, but it's like seasoned and darker. It's pretty cool stuff. We got 3 pieces of that. And then we got a bunch of expensive Japanese lava rocks. So it's a little bit lighter weight than a normal lava rock that I have access to for free here where I live, but it's lighter. It's kind of weird. That definitely helps on the price of it, because it's like $4.99 a pound. The tank that the Mountain Dew Rasboras are gonna go into was super overgrown, so we had to do some trimming, and the little scissors weren't gonna cut it, so we had to bust out the big guys and just chop this thing back. We had to clean up our mess too, so we bust out the old 3/4 inch hose, do some siphoning, and then we acclimate the fish. So here you can see just how green these fish are. They're also in the bag still, so they're gonna be crazy once we get them fed. Add them to the tank about 20 minutes later, and we let them explore their new home. Decided that they deserved a little feeding, so we threw in a little frozen cube of brine shrimp, and they ate all of this. No shrimp hit the floor here, they devoured the stuff. I'll explain in a second, but turns out we needed to set up a tank pronto. So filled up this little cube, I think it's like 12 gallons, with a ton of substrate. And then I added in a few of the pieces of wood that we got at the fish store. So I'm just going through this super quickly. We just need a placeholder tank. Put some lava rock on top of this wood so it doesn't float. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I didn't throw a filter on this. They're only gonna be in here for a few days. You guys ever go to the fish store and you get so entranced by everything that you kind of forget like what tanks you have available to put new fish in? That's kind of what happened with me. I thought that we'd have room on the bookshelf to put these fish in sort of like a holding position for a while. I knew that we needed to set them up a new tank, but when I got home, I did the math again and realized that we needed to set up this tank. So our dwarf rainbows will not live in here for forever. This is obviously just a temporary placeholder for them, but we got some of our pearl weed in here to make them feel a little bit more comfortable. But just look at these fish, man. They're super cool. Really nice colors on them. Some have yellow fins, some have kind of red fins, so they have this iridescent sheen that is hard for this camera to pick up. This guy's really cool. Of course, he swims away right when I try and look at him, but really awesome fish. Super stoked to have these because I haven't before. Not sure if we're gonna properly set this tank up. It's not gonna live here for forever, certainly, but we need to get back to planning that out here in the next few days. We don't want to keep these fish in here for much longer than like a week tops. Something I've been wanting to do on this tank for a while is try and create a little bit more height in the back of the tank. So for that, we have some sand that I'm pretty sure matches what we already have in here. And because it's wet, I just washed this stuff off. We're gonna have to do it this way with the mason jar. So we'll just collect up a bunch in here and spread it in the back. Nothing really too scientific here. We're just, again, trying to create the illusion of depth. We're not really going to be able to do it because in order to do that, we'd have to lift up the rocks that are behind it and get those rocks up on top of the new sand that we put. So we're just trying to create a little trickery here in the back. We're going to probably have to pull up some of the plants and adjust them, but I'm just trying to really not disrupt the aquascape too much. I think we're going to be able to do it. Look what I found hiding in the back there. Look at all that staghorn, man. We missed that when we did the maintenance the first time around, but I'm glad to get that now. This has no place in the tank. The aquarium has been doing good since we shut the CO2 off. Everything's still looking green. The Monte Carlo hasn't melted off or anything. That's something that I've never experienced before, and I don't expect it to happen, but I guess you never know. So the tank is looking, I think, a little bit better. I don't know, I like it. I'm glad we did this. Got to find this while we were at it, and now we just need to add in some more hair grass to kind of balance that out. And lucky for me, I have some hair grass that I got on eBay a while back, and it's been sitting in the bags that they came in for, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks. Some of it's died off, as you can see, but the rest of it looks pretty good. So we're gonna plug this in, and hopefully it spruces things up a little bit. We'll do a water change on this guy in a little bit if she doesn't clear up, but overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I like that. Meanwhile, my organic white potato is taking over the sticker store, and I kind of just am gonna let this go for as long as I could stand it. Like, I imagine these vines are gonna start to grow over and prevent me from being able to fulfill orders. So at that point, we'll get rid of this guy, or we'll put him in legit fish food headquarters, like I said in a previous video. But until that happens, I'm just gonna let it ride. This dude, for whatever reason, is not spiraling really tight around the things around it, which the other potato did. Not sure if that's just a, you know, a species thing or whatever, but this is gonna be a little bit more manageable, I think, to remove when we get to that point. Oh, hey there. The wife and I were doing a bunch of work on the back patio, doing some pressure washing today, so Mr. Raptor gets to hang out in here with me, in my way, of course. The guppy feeding experiment is yielding some interesting results, so I will show you this really quickly. Lots of algae in this tank, while the legit fish food tank does not appear to have anywhere close to the amount of algae. Interesting stuff, but it's still maybe a little bit early. It does kind of appear that there might be less waste at the bottom of the tank compared to the legit tank. Hard to tell just based on the coloration of everything. Could be that the bacteria are breaking it down in a different way. Maybe the algae is taking advantage of that because all the tanks are getting the same amount of food. There's definitely more uneaten food in this tank. Remember, legit fish food has like on average 30% more calories. So the fish over here that get the same amount are gonna get full faster, and thus you don't need to feed as much. I don't wanna talk more in depth about it because obviously it's an ongoing thing that we're doing. Just wanted to give you a little peek though, because I mean, why not? If you're interested in legit fish food, guys, I have a bunch of free samples. You can try out all 3 of the different types of food that we have. I got a bunch already ready to go here with a considerable amount of samples, but they don't last for forever. They're free. All you gotta do is throw me a couple bucks for the shipping. I definitely lose money on these samples, but hey, it's worth it. You also get the coolest discus sticker on the face of the earth too. Hopefully next week's video will be adding a ton of fish to this aquarium. It's long overdue. I'm super excited for it. Anyway, let's sneak out of here and go back to our fish inside. We always try and isolate new fish when we get them from the fish store, but in the case of these guppies, it was a pretty safe bet to put them in with our existing fish, so we went ahead and did that. You can see this guy right here looking pretty cool. It's got that like snake skin on his body. Got this dude breaking up the color pattern a little bit with some darker blues, maybe even some black. And then we got one more female too, so we kind of let the burden off of our main mama here. If we zoom in here on this guy, this is one of the juveniles that I think was a father that is no longer in this tank, but I'm just loving the coloration on 2 of these juveniles. They look like this guy. I know breeding guppies is like super basic stuff, but it's something that I've never really delved into, so I'm having fun with it. Let's feed these guys some brine shrimp though. I did a hatch the other day and we got some nice cubes for them. I know this tank is kind of a nightmare. We need to get it here and do a bunch of work, but it's on the to-do list. The to-do list is getting shorter, and this is gonna happen, I think, pretty soon. Our Mountain Dew Rasboras are also doing good. They need a bigger tank though. So again, a lot of this was just, I needed a place to put fish in the meantime before we get some proper tanks set up for them. So They're gonna be hanging out in here for a little while longer, but as you can see, they're kind of feisty. They like to, you know, they definitely need a little bit more space. I think we have like 9 of them in here. They're almost kind of hard to see because they kind of match the green of the Java fern, really living up to their self-proclaimed name. Thank you, Ashley, for that recommendation. I thought that was super funny and applicable because they're like, you know, they're like one of the only green fish, at least that I can think of off the top of my head. Naturally green, I should say. I think these would look really good in a tank that had a lot of red plants. Unfortunately, we don't have that going on in this tank, but something to consider on the tank that they're gonna live in full time. That's it, that's all I got, guys. Pond season 9 next week, maybe? I'm gonna eat some potato leaves in the meantime until I figure it out. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.